board. Okay, here we go. So, okay, first off, how was your excursion to the jazz concert?
I think it was the year of women. I saw two phenomenal performances. One is by the violinist Regina Carter, and she put on a sterling show. And then the other one is the vocalist Dee Dee Bridgewater, and she had a woman on piano, a woman on bass, a woman on drums, and they showed out. Showed out. Standing ovations.
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to see Bob James this weekend. So
okay.
Not quite
a legend.
Not quite
but he's been around for decades and decades and decades and still doing it.
This is so true. So okay, so let's get into this. I don't know, is this the final chakra, the crown chakra?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 7, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Kimberly's in the house and Steve Boyd is here. Great.
Oh, good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Stephen.
Yay, excellent. So this chakra is, according to many, like the crown chakra, which I remember always having this idea of having this particular chakra open for reception, which is, I guess, the way that we think about it is our connectedness to all that is. As a matter of fact, I have my hair today is a little interesting. But one of the things I used to always talk to cosmetologists about was this idea that you're messing with my cosmos when you are in my hair and up here on my head. And to me, that is a sacred space to be in. So I am interested in and what would be the proper term for this chakra?
You know, Sahasrara is the Hindu name, or the Sanskrit name, rather. And it's interesting, you know, so I was just looking at various yoga sites, and it seems like, well, I did not find any what I would consider effective definition or even effective understanding. You know, like if you look at some of the other chakras that we've been discussing and you ask, what does an underactive chakra look like? Well, they give specific examples. In this one, they were very, very vague. Listlessness, imbalances, et cetera. It's like, well, what does that mean? So I had a real question about real knowledge of this. One of the things is that when we started off, I told you that I have a little experience with these, but not a whole lot. And you said that you would guide me through. But on our discussions, I have had actual experiences with all the ones that we've talked about. So I could just go from what my experience was in talking about this. I have had a little bit of experience with Sahasrara, and one of the things that I did come across that resonated, that actually connected me to my experience such that I could talk about it, is they say that Sahasrara is responsible for samadhi. So samadhi is that experience of consciousness as one with all. Now, to drill down on that a bit, is typically we have this interaction of perception. So right now, I have an experience of me as an individual. And if you and I were together in the same room having the same conversation, I would have the experience of you as an individual. We're talking to each other, we're seeing each other, we're going back and forth. Now, if I pull my consciousness back just a little bit, what I'll also notice and become aware of, not only is my person as an individual, you as an individual, but the act of perceiving you as an individual. So it's a three-part component: my being, your being, and the perception of your being. So with samadhi, what samadhi actually means is you actually stop having the perception of the object of perception. You actually become the object of perception. So now there is no me and there is no you. There's the experience of us.
Mm.
And so that's the whole idea of samadhi. And so my little experience with that is doing something called the self-actualizing meditation. And that's a simple thing. It's just the whole basic meditation 101, breathing, noticing your breathing, and actually having the experience of becoming one with the breath, so that no longer am I this other entity. I have this expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction. I am the breath. And so that's what actually, in a small nutshell, is what the awakening of Sahasrara is. You have the ability to not be the seer, but actually the seer becoming the object of what is seen.
That's good. That's good. So I'm so glad. I'm so blessed to be able to talk to you. So one of the things that when you were describing the crown chakra and some of the disorders, I can remember a time when I have gone through periods in my life where I have felt cut off, where I wasn't dreaming, where I was not feeling. It was almost like I felt like I don't want to use the word embodied because that would not be the correct word. But I felt as if I was not connected. I have gone through times when I felt not connected and almost felt numb. And the way I described the numbness was just not feeling anything. But there was something in me that knew that there was something to be felt, but I didn't feel it. And I have had that feeling for, I had it at the time for a number of reasons. But I think, it was in a traumatic response to something that had happened to me and that I hadn't reconciled or I hadn't dealt with. And so I walked through the world in somewhat of a fog. And then all of a sudden I decided, I don't know, maybe God decided for me. I thought, I know what I can do. I can go and talk to somebody. And I went down to the free clinic that was down on Euclid, and I asked to talk to somebody, and I had a list of things that was wrong with me, but I just couldn't put my finger on what it was. And through the process of getting a therapist, it was almost as if I felt like I might perceive a groundhog feeling underground, like I'm digging, 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 and I'm not quite sure of where it is that I'm going to come up or come out of. But at a certain point, all of a sudden I saw the light of day. And what I reclaimed through that was this sense of myself. So when it talks about this awareness, like this connection to the divine, I look at it a lot like that, as if there is, if I could use the sun as an example, there is always this giving out of energy, but my inability to receive it was based on that I got so much stuff that I couldn't get there. I couldn't perceive that there was light until I did. And I think that that is one of the beautiful things about this ability that we have to share, that sometimes that people, they know the light is there, and if they just keep listening, sooner or later they'll be able to pop up in the right place. So when I think
Well,
about
no, you go ahead, finish.
yeah,
Go,
so
go, go ahead.
when I think about this, I think about it in terms of almost, and this, you're a doctor, so I don't know if this is correct or not, but it's almost as if when we're underwater, our head naturally tries to float to the top. It seems like there's a natural pull up. I don't know, but it just seems like that is this how we're aligned spiritually, that there is this, and it could just because we got air in our heads, but there is this natural need to float up.
I will agree with that, but what strikes me more in your story is that you were the groundhog underground. And what I see happening is that it was your efforting that allowed you to pop up. You put forth the effort. I know that there's light. I just don't see it and I don't feel it, but I'm going to struggle and keep struggling until I access it. Because I think our efforting is very important. Yes, there is this natural connection, but gradually, after we're born and we go through a certain stage in childhood, we actually become programmed to see the world as it's told to us by our adults and authority figures. So our youthful experience of the unseen world gets shut down. That's the part where I agree. The head has these sinus cavities, so it keeps it light on the neck so that we can keep it up. And yes, in the water, it has a tendency to float up. However, we still have to put forth the efforting. We still have to work at it. And that's the whole concept behind initiation. We're going to be given certain programmed abilities that are inherent within us. But if you want the higher functions to come online, you have to choose to go after it. We don't live on a planet, as there are some that I'm aware of, where the work has been done for thousands of years so that everybody is born with their Sahasrara, their ajna, fully awakened and opening. Because over the millennia, these beings have put forth the effort. So their actual DNA has changed. Their actual composition has changed such that they're born that way. As obvious on our planet, that does not happen. You know, we all have the potential, but we see how this place is being run.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that the higher functions aren't open in most of the people. So for us, we really have to put forth the work to accept that, number one, the conviction that the light does exist, but I'm going to have to keep digging and digging and digging and digging to actually access the light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So we know, okay, so say for instance, like if we go with like when I was a child, I was given an image of the world and of God. I was given that not only through my parents, but also church, because I had to go to church. They made me go to church. And there was always this feeling in me that was saying, "No, this ain't right. This, I was always kind of thinking like, this ain't quite right, whatever it was. I was having that feeling that what they were telling me, it may have been sort of, or their version of it, but it just didn't feel quite right. I wonder now if kids feel that way about, about what they hear from us. But there was always something that wasn't quite connecting until it did. And then when it finally made sense to me, or when I finally, because I had to let go, it's like that, you got to let go of what you were told in order to grab on to what you now know or what you can now experience. And I think that I know that there is an intelligence in my body that was guiding me towards being able to embrace the truth that I was feeling.
What about the idea that that intelligence in your body that was guiding you was the result of the work and the efforting you had put in over other lifetimes, such that you had a certain degree of knowledge already in you because of your past work? You come, this world is presented, and part of you says, there's more, there's more. This just ain't it, there's more. And then you keep looking and looking and looking because you're already convinced there's more because I've experienced more, until you find what it is that you had the last time. And then you keep climbing up the rung of this new ladder to higher and higher levels. Part of us knows, some of us have done work before. So the world can tell us this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is what success looks like. This is what God looks like. This is what the journey to God looks like. And we say, I hear you, but I already know there's more. There's more to this than what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And so our sincerity and the intelligence guiding us keeps having us look over here, look over here, look over here, look over here. Oh, okay. Now I understand. I have what's mine, and this is my path. I've done this before. I shall continue this way.
Yeah. And that's good. For some reason, when you said that, the matrix came up for me.
Always.
Because there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. And at times we get so caught up in other stuff that we get off of the path because we're busy paying attention to well, everybody else is over there, is what we're saying to ourselves. Everybody else is doing this. And, you know, if can thousands and thousands of people be wrong? Um,
Not wrong, not wrong, but that's where they are. And
mhm,
it's okay that that's where they are. But
mhm,
I've been exposed to something else. So, you know, the thing is we have to become comfortable with our own idiosyncrasies. The world will say you're weird, you're strange. Our families will say, you know, you've always been a strange person, a strange kid, strange adult. And rather than be dismayed by that and try to conform to somebody else's idea of what we should be and where we should be comfortable in the knowledge that's driving us. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be me. I'm happy with you doing you. But you know what? I've got a different journey. I see something up ahead on this path, and I over here, I don't see light over there. I don't see it for me. It may
mhm.
be fine for you, but I see these steps leading me over here, and I'm comfortable going this way.
And you know, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things that I know is, or that I found for me is that I'm only able to listen to that kind of stuff when I'm present in the moment. Um, and so when I come fully present to the moment, I can, you know, think or feel my way through things. But it seems like there is this other part, and this could just be me because I'm not, and maybe this is part of my justification of not being a planner, but the stuff that I write down or in paper or that I plan out doesn't necessarily coincide with what I feel in the moment. And this intuitive guidance, or the ways in which it talks about us learning how to live in the present moment, sometimes when we're busy in comparison mode, or if we're busy in plan mode, if we're busy in all of these other modes, we bypass the present and just sort of jump over right into the future. And people haven't learned how to just stand it secure in the present, if that makes sense.
Um, it does, um, because although there is a role for planning and for structure, and because we're wired differently, some people find immense freedom in structure.
Mm.
Some people find it too overwhelming and restricting. And the art of it is to have the plan, but be flexible and adaptable, because things always change. So we have a 5-year plan. Okay, this is where I'm going to be in 5 years. But you cannot predict where the world will be in 5 years. That may throw your plan off. So you may have this intention of strategizing for your economics. I'm going to, you know, put money here, put money here, put money here, put money here. But we don't really have the ability to see around the corners and understand all the fluctuations going on. So you've got a plan, but sometimes the plan has to adapt to where things are going. And people have to be flexible. But to always step out and say, yep, you know what, I'm just going to get in the car and I'm just going to drive. And if I get to the store in time, if I get over here and I get this, well, that's fine. Well, for some people, that's how it works. For other people, that is a cause of tension
Uh-huh.
because I I need to plan out where I'm going to go and make it a nice normal route where I can accomplish all that I need to accomplish.
Right, right. And I get that. But you know, there are also people who whether it's sometimes it's living in the past as well, because they're so busy trying to avoid what happened before
Yeah.
that they can't live in the present either. So we've got people that are either living in the future or living in the past and not living in the now.
Hmm.
And so if, say, for instance, I'm guided by my trauma means that I'm living in the past with a
Right.
constant expectation that I could have changed something or caused something different to happen. And so my avoidance of what was, or trying to not let this happen again, still projects me over into something else, but it's not the present moment.
Well, what happens is when you're ruled by the past, you've limited so much of the possibilities of the present.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do this because I'm concerned that what happened before will happen again. For instance, one of the things is people who have heartbreak. Okay, so the last time I made myself vulnerable in a relationship, I got hurt. So from now on, I'm going to have superficial relationships because I don't want to go through that pain again. And not going through that pain again means I'll never experience the ecstasy of what happened in that relationship before it went bad either. We will close off the possibility of having this full, rich relationship because I don't want to be hurt. And that happens to us in so many other ways.
Mm-hmm. And this is true. So whether we're talking about relationships or we're talking about jobs, sometimes we can even be talking about, and believe it or not, religion sometimes ties us back to old rather than present. It ties us back to, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with ritual, because I know that ritual brings us sometimes right into to the altar, so to speak. The rituals do, but sometimes what we do is we're so busy bypassing the experience because it's not in the book, it's not described that way, or I can't experience this because that's left for the saints or something else, and I haven't been a saint. So sometimes we bypass the experience based on what we've been told or something else. So many people can't even have a relationship with God because it's not the way that they've been told that it's supposed to be.
I was having a conversation today, this morning, with a pastor, and he's a smart guy. He's 88 years old, and he is by the book only. And so I just brought up the example of the Gnostics who were Christians but were called blasphemers and kicked out because they had this African sensibility of, I'm not accepting faith and I'm not accepting belief. I have an understanding that I can have an experience of God that will keep me grounded and keep me moving forward because I don't have any doubts or beliefs in my system because I've had the experience. And when we were brought over here and our culture was destroyed, and even when the colonizers came to Africa and colonized it, they destroyed the culture. So this concept of Gnosticism, of really basically doing things that immersed us into an experience. And as we already know from the current state of quantum physics and people like Bruce Lipton, having an experience alters your physiology, alters your DNA, alters your spirit, alters your soul in such a way that you now behave, think, and emote differently. It's changed you. You've been born again.
Mhm.
So without experience, and to your point, when living in the past or the future, those don't exist except in your mind. You only have the eternal now. And so all the things that are going on now outside of your consciousness, they're still impacting you. But how rich life would be if you actually stopped to understand all that's happening now. The breeze on your arm, the sunlight making you squint your eye, whatever you ate and the sensations of the digestive process, all the things that are going on right now that are so experiential that we don't appreciate. And that's why we live a life of miracles and we fail to acknowledge that they're miracles. How do you go to sleep at night and have no memory of what's going on, and then wake up here on earth again and have a complete memory of yesterday? But where were you during those 6, 7, 8 hours?
Right,
Where
right.
were you? And how did you know to come back here again?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
just waking up to this, but where were you for 6 to 8 hours that you can't account for that? But how did you come back to planet Earth? I consider that a minor miracle. How did I know not to wake up, on Sirius B? How did I know not to wake up in Sandra's body? How did I know that? How did I
Yeah,
wake up here
yeah,
again? But
yeah.
it happened, we have all these magical things that happen. My wife went to change from one mobile carrier to another. And she goes in, and so not only does she get the phone free, get a new phone because she's changing the carrier, they give her an Apple Watch, a 300, they give it to her.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like she had never been to this place before, never met this young man, but something in the interaction between the two, and she comes out with these gifts. That's like a minor miracle, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we don't acknowledge all these things because, as you point out, our mind is thinking about something that happened in the past that traumatized us, is limiting us to our possibilities, or we're so concerned about the future, what's going to go wrong, or I'm planning for the future, that we miss the constant miracles that our lives are every moment.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny though, because, like for me, I changed carriers too.
Mhm.
Probably not the one that your wife got, because I didn't get a watch. But I got something even better. And so when you think about it, a lot of times there are these things that the expectations that we carry. I was talking about belief systems earlier. Sometimes it is the expectations that we carry into a situation that there is a response made on the energetic openness that we already have. Is that what I want to say? Because what happens, I think, is that a lot of times if we're carrying our past expectations into the future, we block off possibilities. But if we walk in with an openness or a receptivity or just being open to possibilities, sometimes what we get is above and beyond what we could have ever imagined. But if our expectations are low, if we set the bar really low and we get there, it's not as if we have gained anything. So that lifting our eyes from where we from what's normal to what's possible, I think is something that when we think about this crown chakra, we are opening ourselves up to higher possibilities.
I can only say amen. I don't know how many times I've walked into a room with a patient, and because of their previous bad experience with quote unquote doctors or their profession, they had this wall up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm used to seeing the wall, but it doesn't put me on the defensive. In fact, it tickles me to the bit that, you know what, I think I can break your wall. you know. And so to your point is when we go out and because of a fear, we're protecting and guarding ourselves. Well, yes, you're trying to make sure nothing comes in that will hurt you, but you're also preventing something to come in that will enrich you, enliven you, enlighten you. The wall is the wall. It will serve your purpose, but it will also be a disservice to other wonderful things that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like walking in the sunshine with an umbrella up, right? We
Yeah,
can either
right.
receive it, be open and receptive, or we can think about that time, well, the time I got burned because I didn't have this umbrella with me.
And it's fear. And
Yes.
it's a fear-based mode. And we know what happens with fear. It does not serve our divinity.
It does not. It does not. So this idea of this crown chakra is, I just think of it as opening to the divine. Like let me be open. Let me be open and receptive and be so I can be guided. And I can't be guided in tomorrow, but I can be guided in the now. So,
And I won't be separate from the experience. I won't be over here and the experience is over here. I'm not just a seer in my life. I'm a participant of the event.
yeah. So now with the pastor that you were talking about, though, how does, how do we, is it a circumvent? Because um, so if God is always seeking us, if this what we know to be God is always seeking us, no matter what we put in its way, the obstacles that we put in the way, because it's got to show up this way, it's got to show up according to what we know or what we've learned, but it's always seeking us.
Those are the obstacles that we think of. They're not really there. And for the divine, there is no obstacle. You chose this path, and here's going to be the opportunities that going to come your way that's going to grow you. Now, you can either choose to grow, or you can go ahead and fold your tent and go undercover. But my mercy is, as the divine, you'll be back again, and we'll try this again.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on you. As you say, I'm always seeking you. I'm not giving up on you, because my full experience as God is I need to come through as God, not as a human being. So I need you to be at a certain level. I need you. So you can either pay me now or you can pay me later.
That's good. I mean, I just, all of that is just the truth, right? And it's a shame that sometimes people have to take this detour into darkness. Like me going underground, you got to take a detour into darkness just so you can see that more clearly when you come back up, or just so you can get where you need to be. So,
And that's the point of self-reflection. How, what was it that led me underground? What was it that led me on this detour? And then finding the positive experience out of that. Okay, I know that's a way it won't work. Yes, maybe I can conceive I lost some time, but I did find one way that it won't work. That's a success. I've eliminated this as the road that will take me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Who did your wife get her phone service from?
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile? She went to T-Mobile and got deals?
Yeah, they were offering much better deals. And so she was switching because the monthly plan was a lot lower. And then when she goes in, okay, but you're due for an upgrade of a new phone. Here's a new phone. And in addition to that, because of Black girl magic, here's an Apple Watch.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I was with T-Mobile because it was one of the few companies that when I was overseas, people were still having service, and the old company I was with didn't. But I just switched to Spectrum because they talked me into, they said, well, we'll give you our phone service free for an entire year. And I was like, oh,
okay.
I get that. I get free?
Yeah.
I couldn't beat free.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this. Thank you.
And thank you. All right, my sister.
All right.
I'll talk
see
to
you
you next week.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Yeah, that was good. It's so interesting how we can start off on one foot and having an idea of where we were going, but still it was just it's a beautiful journey. So yes, it's a beautiful journey. Thank you for being here. And I will this is gonna bake my noodle later on. All right, so I will see y'all when I see you, either tomorrow or next week or whenever. All right, blessings to you. Thanks. Kimberly, thank you. As always.